The morning sun shone through the glass walls of the Galactic Research Station floating high above Earth. Inside the main classroom, 20 alien students sat in their special chairs, each designed for their different body types. Some looked like tall blue trees with glowing leaves. Others were round and soft like living water balloons. A few had 6 arms and looked like giant ants with big eyes. Professor Cole stood at the front of the room. He was from the planet Nexus and looked like a walking crystal that sparkled when he talked. His voice came through a small machine that changed his crystal sounds into words the other students could understand. "Today we start a new project," Professor Cole announced. "You will all go to Earth for 3 weeks. Your job is to study the small animals that live there. The humans say these animals are not dangerous." The students looked at each other and made quiet sounds of excitement. Earth was famous in the galaxy, but not many aliens had actually been there. Most of what they knew came from books and videos. A student named Rix raised one of his 6 arms. He came from the insect worlds where everything was organized and planned. "Professor, what kind of animals will we study? Are they the big ones we have heard about? The bears and tigers?" Professor Cole's crystal body flashed with what looked like laughter. "No, Rix, much smaller. You will study spiders. They are tiny creatures, smaller than your thumb. The humans live with them in their houses every day." The students began to whisper among themselves. Zira, who looked like a blue tree, waved her glowing branches. "Professor, why would we study such tiny things? On my world, the smallest hunters are still bigger than these earth spiders. What can we learn from something so small?" "That is exactly what we want to find out," Professor Cole replied. "The humans have sent us information about these creatures. They say spiders are helpful and mostly harmless. But Earth is a very strange planet. The humans there are much stronger than they look. Maybe their small animals are also different from what we expect." A soft, round student named Blob spoke up. Her voice sounded like water moving. "I have read about earth spiders. They make webs to catch food. They seem very simple." "How can simple creatures teach us anything new?" Professor Cole touched a button on his desk. A large screen appeared in the air showing pictures of different spiders. The students leaned forward to look. They saw tiny black spiders, colorful jumping spiders, and spiders with long, thin legs. "Look at these images," Professor Cole said. "What do you see?" Rick studied the pictures with his big compound eyes. "They have 8 legs. They have fangs. They look like tiny versions of the hunters on my world, but much weaker. They have no armor," added Zira. "No energy weapons. No way to call for help from others. They are alone and small." Blob rippled with thought. "The information says they eat insects and small bugs. They do not hunt anything big. They hide in corners and wait for food to come to them." Professor Cole nodded. "All of your observations are correct based on the data. But remember, Earth is not like other worlds. The creatures there have survived in ways that might surprise us. The humans themselves are proof of this." The students knew what he meant. Humans looked soft and weak compared to most galaxy species. They had no natural weapons, no thick skin, no ability to fly or breathe underwater. Yet they had built amazing technology and traveled to the stars. They were also known to be very good at fighting when they needed to be. "So we think these tiny spiders might be more interesting than they appear?" asked a student named Krex. He looked like a walking rock with arms and legs. "We will find out," Professor Cole said. "Dr. Emily Carter from Earth will be your guide. She knows more about Earth animals than almost any human. She has agreed to show you spiders in their natural homes, living with human families." The mention of visiting human homes excited the students. Most aliens only saw humans in space stations or official meetings. Living in a human house would be a completely new experience. Zira's branches glowed brighter. "Professor, will we be safe? I know humans say spiders are harmless, But what if they are wrong? What if these creatures are actually dangerous? Professor Cole was quiet for a moment. That is a very good question, Zira. Dr. Carter has promised that the spiders we will study are completely safe. She says human children play in houses full of these creatures every day with no problems. But we will take all normal safety equipment. Just to be careful. Rix clicked his mandibles together, which was how his species showed they were thinking hard. Professor, I am confused about something. If these spiders are so harmless and simple, why are we studying them at all? Surely there are more interesting creatures on Earth. The humans requested this study specifically, Professor Cole explained. They want us to understand how they see their world. To humans, spiders are just part of normal life. They want us to experience what normal means on Earth. Blob formed herself into a more upright shape. When do we leave for Earth? Tomorrow morning, Professor Cole answered. Tonight, you should read all the information about spiders that Dr. Carter sent us. Study their behavior, their body structure, and how they hunt. The more you know before we arrive, the better you will understand what you see. The students spent the rest of the class looking at spider videos and reading reports. The information all said the same thing. Spiders were small, simple creatures that caught tiny insects in webs or by jumping on them. They avoided large animals and humans. They were helpful because they ate pest insects that bothered people. As the class ended, the students talked among themselves about what they expected to find. Most thought it would be an easy study. They would watch tiny creatures catch even tinier prey, write some notes, and return home with a simple report about Earth's basic ecosystem. Crex rolled toward the door on his rocky feet. I think this will be the most boring assignment we have ever had. Tiny creatures doing tiny things. How can this teach us anything important? Zira agreed, her branches dim with disappointment. I was hoping to study something more challenging. These spiders sound like the least dangerous things in the entire galaxy. Rix gathered his belongings with 4 of his arms while taking notes with the other 2. At least we will see Earth. That is worth something. And maybe the human food will be interesting. Blob flowed toward the exit, changing shape as she moved. I just hope Dr. Carter has planned some other activities too. 3 weeks watching tiny spiders catch gnats seems like a very long time. As the students left the classroom, Professor Cole remained behind, looking at the spider images on the screen. His crystal body flickered with an emotion that none of the students had seen before. If they had known how to read crystal being expressions, they might have recognized it as worry. Professor Cole had read more than just the basic information about Earth spiders. He had also read some very old reports from the few aliens who had visited Earth before. Those reports mentioned something that the official spider data did not include. They mentioned that humans had a saying about their planet. Everything in Australia is trying to kill you, but everything everywhere else is probably also trying to kill you, just more quietly. The professor wondered if his students were prepared for what they might actually discover about Earth's harmless creatures. The shuttle landed softly in the backyard of a small house in Colorado. Dr. Emily Carter stepped out first, breathing the fresh Earth air and smiling at the nervous alien students behind her. The house looked perfectly normal. White walls, a red roof, and flowers growing in the front yard. To the alien visitors, it seemed like the most peaceful place in the galaxy. Welcome to the Johnson family home, Dr. Carter said cheerfully. Mrs. Johnson has kindly agreed to let us study the spiders that live here. This is a typical human house, and like most human homes, it has dozens of spiders living inside it. Rick stepped carefully onto the grass with his 6 legs. His big compound. Eyes looked around at everything. Dr. Carter, I do not see any spiders. Where are they hiding? Dr. Carter laughed. That's the point, Rix. They're everywhere, but they're very good at staying hidden. Don't worry, we'll find plenty to observe. Zira's Blue branches swayed as she moved toward the house. How many spiders live in one human home? Oh, probably between 50 and 200. Dr. Carter said casually. Most humans never see them because spiders are very good at avoiding people. The alien student stopped walking. Blob's water-like body rippled with surprise. 200? You mean humans live with 200 predators in their homes? They're very small predators, Dr. Carter explained. And they only hunt insects. Humans actually like having spiders around because they eat mosquitoes and flies. Crex rolled forward on his rocky feet. On my world, we would never allow predators to live in our homes. Even small ones. It seems very dangerous. Dr. Carter opened the front door and led them inside. The house smelled like flowers and fresh bread. Everything looked clean and comfortable. Mrs. Johnson, an elderly human woman, greeted them with a warm smile. "Welcome to my home," Mrs. Johnson said. "I hope you find your spider study interesting. I've lived here for 30 years, and the spiders have never bothered me once." The alien students looked around the living room. They saw soft chairs, colorful pictures on the walls, and sunlight coming through clean windows. It was hard to believe that predators lived here. Dr. Carter pulled out a small scanning device. "Let's start in the basement. That's where we'll find some house spiders. They like dark, quiet places." The group walked down wooden stairs into the basement. The air was cooler here, and shadows filled the corners. Dr. Carter turned on a bright light and pointed to a corner where a small web stretched between two boxes. "There," she said quietly, "your first earth spider." The students gathered around to look. In the center of the web sat a tiny brown spider, no bigger than a pea. Its 8 legs were thin as threads, and its body looked soft and fragile. Rix moved closer with his scanning equipment. "It appears to be sleeping. Should we wake it up?" "Spiders don't really sleep like we do," Dr. Carter explained. "They're always aware of what's happening around them. Watch what happens when you get closer." Rix extended a thin metal probe toward the web. The probe was much larger than the spider and made of strong metal. To any reasonable creature, it should have looked like a giant threatening object. The spider moved. What happened next shocked every alien student. Instead of running away from the giant metal probe, the tiny spider turned toward it. Its 8 eyes focused on the metal tool like tiny black pearls. Then, without any warning, the spider jumped. It launched itself directly at the probe, fangs extended, legs spread wide. The spider was so small that it should have been afraid of everything, but instead it attacked the first unknown object that came near its web. Rix jerked the probe back in surprise. It attacked. Why did it attack? The probe is 50 times bigger than it is. The spider landed back on its web and immediately took an aggressive position, facing the alien students. Its front legs were raised, and its fangs were visible. Despite being outnumbered 20 to 1 by creatures thousands of times its size, the spider showed no fear at all. Blob rippled with confusion. "This makes no sense. On my world, small creatures always run from large ones. It is the basic rule of survival." "Not on Earth," Dr. Carter said, watching the spider with respect. "Earth spiders don't run. They fight." Zira's branches dimmed with worry. "But that is completely illogical. How can such a tiny creature think it can fight something so much bigger?" "It doesn't think," Dr. Carter explained. "It just reacts. Millions of years of evolution have taught Earth spiders that the best defense is a strong attack. They don't waste time being afraid." The spider was still in its attack position, watching them. Its tiny body tensed like a spring ready to jump again. Crex rolled backward a little. "Dr. Carter, what would happen if this spider actually bit one of us?" Dr. Carter considered the question. "Well, house spiders aren't dangerous to large creatures like you. But they don't know that. As far as this spider is concerned, anything that comes near its web is either food or a threat, and it's willing to fight either one. Rix tried moving his probe toward the web again. The spider immediately turned to face it, ready to attack a second time. Incredible! It learned nothing from the first encounter. It is still willing to fight. That's what makes Earth spiders so successful, Dr. Carter said. They never back down. Size doesn't matter to them. Odds don't matter. They see a challenge and they attack. The students spent an hour watching the tiny house spider. Every time they moved something near its web, it took an aggressive stance. When a small piece of dust fell onto the web, the spider rushed to investigate, ready to fight or eat whatever had invaded its territory. Blob formed herself into a more compact shape. Dr. Carter, you said this house has 200 spiders like this one? Oh, this isn't the most aggressive type, Dr. Carter replied cheerfully. House spiders are actually quite mild compared to some others. Wait until you meet the jumping spiders tomorrow. The alien students looked at each other with growing concern. If this tiny, fragile-looking creature was considered mild, what would the aggressive ones be like? Zira's branches glowed dimly. How do humans live with creatures like this? Are they not afraid? Mrs. Johnson, who had been listening quietly, spoke up. Afraid of spiders? Oh my no, they're just part of the house. Like having cats but smaller and quieter. I rather like knowing they're there, keeping the flies away. The students stared at the elderly human woman. She spoke about living with 200 tiny predators, as if it was the most normal thing in the galaxy. Rix clicked his mandibles nervously. Mrs. Johnson, do the spiders ever attack humans? Mrs. Johnson thought for a moment. Well, they might bite if you accidentally grab one, but it's rare. Mostly they just stay out of our way. We have an understanding. An understanding? Crex asked. With predators? Sure, Mrs. Johnson said with a smile. They eat the bugs I don't like, and I don't disturb their webs. It works out well for everyone. As they climbed back upstairs, the alien students were very quiet. They had come to Earth expecting to study simple, harmless creatures. Instead, they had met a tiny predator that showed no fear, no hesitation, and no common sense about fighting things bigger than itself. And according to Dr. Carter, they had only seen the beginning. The next morning, Dr. Carter led the alien students to a special observation room at the research center. The room had white walls and bright lights, with several glass containers on metal tables. The students noticed that today Dr. Carter looked more serious than before. Today we will study jumping spiders, Dr. Carter announced. These are different from the house spiders you met yesterday. Jumping spiders are active hunters. They don't wait in webs for food to come to them. They go looking for prey. Rix adjusted his scanning equipment with 2 of his 6 arms. Dr. Carter, how are they different from house spiders? Are they larger? Not much larger, Dr. Carter replied. Most jumping spiders are still smaller than your thumbnail. But they hunt very differently. House spiders are ambush predators. Jumping spiders are pursuit predators. Blob rippled with curiosity. What does that mean? Dr. Carter picked up a clear glass container. Inside, the students could see a small, black spider with white stripes. It was about the size of a large grain of rice. This little guy actively hunts for food. He stalks prey, plans his attack, and then strikes. Watch his eyes. The students leaned closer to look. The spider had 8 eyes, but 2 of them were much larger than the others. These big eyes faced forward like headlights on a vehicle. As the students moved around the container, the spider's head turned to follow them. It is watching us, Zira observed, her blue branches glowing with nervousness. Why is it watching us? Because it's trying to decide if you're prey, Dr. Carter said simply. The alien student stepped back from the container. Crex's rocky surface made grinding sounds. As he processed this information, Dr. Carter, we are thousands of times larger than this creature. How can it think we are prey? Dr. Carter smiled. Size doesn't matter much to jumping spiders. They hunt things bigger than themselves all the time. To this spider, anything that moves is potentially food until proven otherwise. She opened the container and carefully moved the jumping spider to a larger glass box. The spider immediately began exploring its new environment. It moved in quick, jerky motions, stopping every few steps to look around with those large front eyes. "Notice how it moves," Dr. Carter pointed out. "It's not wandering randomly, it's patrolling. This spider is systematically checking every inch of its territory for prey." Rix extended his metal probe toward the glass wall of the container. The jumping spider immediately turned to face it. Unlike the house spider from yesterday, this one didn't wait for the probe to get close. It began stalking the probe, moving closer step by step. "Fascinating," Rix muttered. "It is hunting my equipment." The spider reached the glass wall and pressed its front legs against it, trying to get to the probe. When it realized the glass was in the way, it began climbing up the wall, looking for a way around the barrier. Blob formed herself into a tighter shape. "Dr. Carter, this creature is problem-solving. It knows there is an obstacle, and it is trying to find a way past it." "Jumping spiders are very smart for their size," Dr. Carter agreed. "They can plan routes, remember locations, and solve simple puzzles. This one has decided your probe looks tasty." Crex moved his rocky bulk closer to the container. The spider immediately noticed the new movement and turned to stare at him. "Its eyes are following me perfectly. How good is its vision?" "Better than yours, probably," Dr. Carter said. "Jumping spiders have some of the best eyes in the animal kingdom. They can see in color, judge distances perfectly, and detect tiny movements from far away." To demonstrate, Dr. Carter moved her finger slowly near the container. The spider tracked the movement precisely, turning its head to keep the finger in sight. When Dr. Carter moved her finger faster, the spider's head snapped to follow it instantly. "Remarkable reaction speed," Zira noted. "On my world, only our fastest predators can track movement that quickly." Dr. Carter nodded. "Now watch this." She picked up a small piece of paper and dropped it near the container. The paper fluttered as it fell, and the spider immediately focused on it with complete attention. Even though the paper was outside the container and clearly not food, the spider watched it like a hawk. "It responds to any movement," Rix observed. "Even movements that make no sense as prey." "Jumping spiders are wired to notice everything that moves," Dr. Carter explained. "In their world, movement usually means either food or danger. They can't afford to ignore anything." The spider was still pressed against the glass, trying to reach Rix's probe. Dr. Carter carefully lifted the glass lid of the container. "Let's see what happens when we remove the barrier." The moment the lid came off, the spider jumped. It launched itself through the air directly at Rix's probe, covering a distance more than 20 times its body length in a single leap. Rix jerked the probe back in surprise, and the spider landed on the table. For a moment, the tiny spider sat on the metal table, surrounded by giant alien creatures. Any reasonable animal would have been terrified. Instead, the spider looked around calmly, as if trying to decide which giant to attack first. "Why is it not afraid?" Blob asked, her water-like body rippling with confusion. "We are enormous compared to it. It should be running away." The spider made its decision. It turned toward Zira, whose glowing blue branches apparently looked interesting. The spider crouched down, preparing to jump again. "It is going to attack me," Zira said, backing away. "A creature smaller than my smallest branch wants to fight me." Dr. Carter quickly placed a glass over the spider, trapping it safely. Jumping spiders don't really understand size the way other animals do. They see movement, they see potential prey, and they attack. Fear doesn't factor into the equation. Crex made grinding sounds that meant he was thinking hard. "Dr. Carter, this is completely opposite to every survival instinct we know. Small creatures should avoid large ones. How do these spiders survive if they attack everything? They're very good at it, Dr. Carter replied. Jumping spiders are incredibly successful predators. They rarely miss when they attack, and they're too fast for most creatures to catch them. Under the glass, the spider was still trying to reach the alien students. It pressed against the glass and looked for ways to escape so it could continue hunting them. Rick studied the trapped spider with all of his eyes. Dr. Carter, I am reading the creature's body chemistry. It shows no stress markers. No fear responses. Its heart rate is steady. How is this possible? Jumping spiders don't get scared the way other animals do, Dr. Carter explained. Evolution has removed most fear responses from them. Fear would slow them down, make them hesitate. In their world, hesitation means starvation. The spider finally found a small gap between the glass and the table. It immediately began trying to squeeze through, still determined to hunt the giant aliens around it. Blob watched the spider's efforts with amazement. It never gives up. Even trapped and outnumbered, it still wants to fight. That's Earth evolution. For you, Dr. Carter said. These spiders have been shaped by millions of years of constant hunting. Every instinct they have tells them to attack first and worry about consequences later. Zira's branches dimmed thoughtfully. Dr. Carter, how many of these jumping spiders live around humans? Oh, they're everywhere, Dr. Carter replied cheerfully. Every garden, every park, every building. Humans encounter jumping spiders every day. Most of the time we don't even notice them. The alien students looked at each other with growing alarm. Yesterday, they had learned about house spiders that attacked despite being weak. Today, they discovered jumping spiders that hunted giant aliens without fear. Each new type of Earth spider seemed more impossibly aggressive than the last. On the third day, the alien students arrived at the research center looking worried. They had spent the night discussing what they had learned about Earth spiders. None of them felt comfortable anymore about studying creatures that showed no fear and attacked anything that moved. Dr. Carter noticed their nervous behavior as they gathered around the observation table. I see you're all thinking about yesterday's jumping spider demonstration. Today we're going to study a different type of spider, wolf spiders. Rix clicked his mandibles anxiously. Dr. Carter, are wolf spiders more dangerous than jumping spiders? Not more dangerous, Dr. Carter replied carefully. Just different. Wolf spiders are ground hunters. They don't jump and they don't make webs. They run down their prey. She placed a large glass container on the table. Inside was a spider about the size of a human thumbnail, but this one looked different from the others they had seen. It was brown and hairy, with thick legs and a sturdy body. Most importantly, it was constantly moving. This is a wolf spider, Dr. Carter announced. Watch how it behaves differently from the spiders you've met before. The wolf spider was patrolling the container in a precise pattern. It moved along the edges first, then across the middle, then back to the edges. Every few seconds it stopped to examine something with its front legs before continuing its patrol. Blob rippled with curiosity. It moves like a soldier on guard. Duty, very organized and systematic. That's exactly right, Dr. Carter said. Wolf spiders are constantly patrolling their territory. They're always hunting, always searching for prey. They never rest. Zira's blue branches glowed dimly. How does it know where to search? It seems to have a plan, Dr. Carter smiled. Wolf spiders are born knowing how to hunt. They don't learn it from their parents. The hunting pattern you see is completely instinctive. This spider has never been taught to patrol like this, but it knows exactly what to do. Crex rolled closer to examine the spider better. The movement pattern is very efficient. It covers the entire air without wasting energy on repeated searches. Military scientists study wolf spider hunting patterns, Dr. Carter revealed. Their search techniques are so good that human soldiers use similar methods when patrolling dangerous areas. The alien students looked at each other in surprise. Rick spoke first. Human soldiers learn from these tiny creatures. The spiders figured out the most efficient hunting patterns millions of years ago, Dr. Carter explained. Humans just had to observe and copy their methods. To demonstrate the spider's hunting abilities, Dr. Carter introduced a small mechanical device into the container. The device was designed to move like an insect, scurrying across the bottom of the container in unpredictable directions. The wolf spider noticed the movement immediately. It stopped its patrol and focused completely on the mechanical prey. For a moment, it stood perfectly still, watching and calculating. Look at its eyes, Dr. Carter instructed. Wolf spiders have excellent night vision. They can hunt in complete darkness using just their sense of movement and vibration. The spider began stalking the mechanical device. It didn't rush forward immediately. Instead, it moved carefully, step by step, keeping its body low to the ground. It looked like a professional hunter closing in on a target. Incredible, Blob whispered. It is using cover and concealment. On my world, only the most advanced predators understand those concepts. The mechanical device changed direction suddenly, trying to escape. The wolf spider anticipated the movement perfectly. It adjusted its approach instantly, cutting off the device's escape route. Rix watched with growing amazement. It predicted where the prey would go. How is that possible without advanced brain functions? Wolf spiders have been hunting moving prey for millions of years, Dr. Carter explained. They've evolved an instinctive understanding of how other creatures move when they're trying to escape. The spider made its final approach. It crept within striking distance of the mechanical device, then suddenly burst into motion. The attack was so fast that the alien students barely saw it happen. One moment the spider was crouched and waiting. The next moment it had pounced on the device with perfect accuracy. Direct hit, Dr. Carter announced. Wolf spiders almost never miss their target. Their success rate is over 90%. The spider held the mechanical device with its front legs, trying to inject venom into it. When it realized the device wasn't real prey, it released it and immediately returned to hunting mode, looking for the next target. Crex's rocky surface made grinding sounds of deep thought. Dr. Carter, this creature just demonstrated advanced tactical thinking. Approach, containment, prediction, and execution. These are sophisticated hunting strategies. And this is completely natural behavior, Dr. Carter added. No one taught this spider how to hunt. It was born knowing these techniques. Zira's branches swayed nervously. How fast can wolf spiders move when they are chasing real prey? Dr. Carter picked up a laser pointer and shone a small red dot on the container floor. The wolf spider immediately began chasing the dot, moving incredibly quickly across the smooth surface. Wolf spiders can run up to 2 feet per second, Dr. Carter said as the spider chased the moving dot. For their size, that's like a human running at 200 miles per hour. The alien students watched in fascination as the tiny spider pursued the red dot with absolute determination. No matter how quickly Dr. Carter moved the pointer, the spider stayed close behind it. Blob formed herself into a more defensive shape. Dr. Carter, what happens when wolf spiders encounter creatures much larger than themselves? Same thing that happens with all Earth spiders, Dr. Carter replied. They attack. Size doesn't matter to them. They see movement. They see potential prey. They hunt. To prove her point, Dr. Carter carefully removed the lid from the container. The wolf spider immediately noticed the change in its environment. It stopped chasing the laser dot and began exploring the new opening. Within seconds, the spider had climbed to the edge of the container and was looking out at the giant alien students surrounding it. Instead of being frightened, it began testing the air with its front legs, trying to determine if any of the aliens were suitable prey. It is evaluating us as potential targets, Rix observed with disbelief. A creature we could step on without noticing is considering whether to hunt us. The spider made its decision. It began moving toward Rix, apparently attracted by the clicking sounds his mandibles made. The spider approached with the same careful stalking behavior it had used on the mechanical device. Dr. Carter quickly guided the spider back into its container. Wolf spiders will stalk anything that moves and makes noise. To them, your mandible clicking sounds like insect communication. Crex rolled backward slightly. Dr. Carter, how do humans live safely around creatures with such advanced hunting abilities? Humans have learned to coexist with wolf spiders, Dr. Carter explained. Most people never see them because wolf spiders are nocturnal. They do their hunting at night while humans sleep. Zira's glow became very dim. You mean these perfect predators are active when humans are most vulnerable? Yes, but they're not interested in hunting humans, Dr. Carter assured them. Wolf spiders prefer prey they can actually eat. They hunt insects, not large mammals. Blob rippled with confusion. But they still evaluate large creatures as potential prey. How do they decide what to attack and what to ignore? Dr. Carter thought carefully before answering. Wolf spiders attack anything that behaves like prey. If something moves like an insect, sounds like an insect, or smells like an insect, they'll hunt it. Size is just one factor among many. The wolf spider was back to its systematic patrolling, moving around the container in its efficient search pattern. It showed no signs of being tired or ready to rest. Rick studied the spider's continuous movement. This creature never stops hunting. Even in captivity, it continues to search for prey that does not exist. Wolf spiders are driven by hunting instinct. Dr. Carter confirmed. They can't turn it off. Every moment of their lives is spent either hunting, eating, or preparing to hunt again. The alien students spent the rest of the session watching the wolf spider's relentless patrol behavior. They saw a creature that had been shaped by evolution into a perfect hunting machine, with no wasted motion and no hesitation. On the final day of their Earth spider study, Dr. Carter led the alien students to a beautiful garden behind the research center. The morning sun shone through green leaves and colorful flowers bloomed everywhere. Birds sang in the trees. A gentle breeze moved through the grass. To the alien visitors, it looked like the most peaceful place they had ever seen. This is where we'll conduct our final observation, Dr. Carter announced. This garden represents a typical Earth ecosystem. Everything you see here exists in harmony. The alien students looked around nervously. After 3 days of studying Earth spiders, they no longer trusted peaceful-looking places. Rix extended his scanning equipment cautiously. Dr. Carter, how many spiders live in this garden? Oh, probably several thousand, Dr. Carter replied cheerfully. This garden is home to dozens of different spider species. House spiders, jumping spiders, wolf spiders, orb weavers, crab spiders, and many others. Blob rippled with alarm. Thousands? All living in one small area? And they all coexist perfectly, Dr. Carter added. Each species has its own hunting method and preferred prey. They've divided up the territory efficiently. Zira's blue branches dimmed with worry. Dr. Carter, if there are thousands of predators here, how is this place so calm and beautiful? Dr. Carter smiled and pointed to a large spider web stretched between 2 bushes. In the center sat an orb weaver spider, its golden body gleaming in the sunlight, because they're all doing their jobs. See that orb weaver? She caught 12 flies just this morning. Those jumping spiders in the flowers? They've been hunting gnats all night. The wolf spiders in the grass? They've been patrolling for mosquitoes. The students looked more carefully at the garden. Now that they knew what to look for, they began seeing spiders everywhere. Tiny ones hiding under leaves, medium ones sitting motionless on flower petals, and larger ones moving through the grass like tiny soldiers. Crex rolled forward slowly, his rocky surface grinding with nervous energy. Dr. Carter, this entire garden is actually a battlefield. Thousands of predators are hunting constantly. That's right, Dr. Carter agreed. And because of that constant hunting, this garden has almost no pest insects. No mosquitoes biting humans. No aphids destroying plants, no flies spreading disease. The spiders keep everything in balance. Rix noticed a jumping spider sitting on a nearby flower. The spider was watching him with its large front eyes, just like the one they had studied in the laboratory. Dr. Carter, that jumping spider is evaluating me as prey again. Probably, Dr. Carter said casually, but it won't attack unless you make sudden movements. Jumping spiders are smart enough to learn that creatures your size aren't suitable prey. As if to prove her wrong, the jumping spider suddenly leaped from the flower toward Rix. It landed on his metal scanning equipment and began exploring it with its front legs. Rix froze in place, not sure what to do. Interesting, Dr. Carter observed. It's not trying to hunt your equipment, it's just curious. Jumping spiders are naturally curious about new objects. The spider crawled around on Rix's equipment for a few seconds, then jumped back to its flower. It resumed its hunting position as if nothing had happened. Blob formed herself into a more compact shape. Dr. Carter, I am detecting thousands of different vibrations in this garden. Every step we take, every movement we make, is being noticed by the spiders. Absolutely correct, Dr. Carter confirmed. Every spider in this garden knows exactly where you are and what you're doing. They're constantly monitoring their territory for changes. Zira's branches glowed with realization. We are not visitors here. We are intruders in a hunting ground controlled by thousands of tiny predators. And yet, Dr. Carter pointed out, none of them are attacking you. Despite being surrounded by perfect predators, you're completely safe. Do you know why? The alien students thought about this question. After watching spiders attack everything that moved for 3 days, they couldn't understand why the garden spiders were leaving them alone. Rix spoke first. Because we are too large to be prey? Partly, Dr. Carter said. But that didn't stop the jumping spider from investigating your equipment. Crex made his thinking sounds. Because we are not moving like prey animals? Getting closer, Dr. Carter encouraged. Blob rippled with sudden understanding. Because the spiders have learned that creatures like us are not threats to them or their territory. Exactly, Dr. Carter exclaimed. Earth spiders are not mindless killing machines. They're intelligent predators who can learn and adapt. The spiders in this garden have experience with large, slow-moving creatures. They know we're not competitors for food, and we're not trying to destroy their webs. A large wolf spider emerged from under a bush near their feet. Instead of attacking, it simply continued its patrol route around them, treating the alien students like large, harmless obstacles. That wolf spider just classified us as part of the terrain. Zira observed with amazement. Dr. Carter nodded. Earth spiders are survivors. They've learned to distinguish between threats, prey, and neutral objects. It's one of the reasons they've been so successful for millions of years. The students spent the next hour walking carefully through the garden, observing the complex spider ecosystem. They saw orb weavers maintaining their webs, jumping spiders stalking tiny insects, wolf spiders patrolling their territories, and crab spiders waiting motionless on flowers for unsuspecting prey. Dr. Carter, Rick said thoughtfully, I am beginning to understand something important. These spiders are not just random predators. They are organized. How so? Dr. Carter asked. Each species has a specific role, Rix explained. The orb weavers catch flying insects. The jumping spiders hunt small moving prey. The wolf spiders patrol the ground, and the crab spiders ambush flower visitors. They have divided the hunting duties efficiently. Blob rippled in agreement. It is like a military operation with different specialized units working together. Dr. Carter smiled proudly. Now you're starting to see what makes Earth ecosystems so stable. The spiders aren't competing with each other. They're working together to control the insect population. Crex rolled toward a spider web and examined it carefully. Dr. Carter, I have been thinking about something. If Earth has thousands of different spider species, and each species is a perfect predator in its own way, what does this tell us about Earth itself? Dr. Carter's expression became more serious. What do you think it tells us, Crex? It tells us that Earth is not a peaceful planet, Crex replied slowly. Earth is a planet where survival requires constant warfare. Every creature here has been shaped by millions of years of fighting for survival. Zira's branches swayed as she processed this thought. And humans evolved on this planet. They grew up surrounded by perfect predators like these spiders. That explains much about human behavior, Rix added. If humans learn to survive on a planet full of tiny perfect killers, no wonder they are so effective at warfare themselves. Blob rippled with a new understanding. Dr. Carter, humans are not strange because they are peaceful despite being strong. Humans are strange because they are peaceful at all. Dr. Carter looked around the garden, where thousands of spiders continued their eternal hunt. You're beginning to understand Earth, and why Earth creatures are so different from what you expected. As the alien students prepared to leave the garden, they took one final look at the beautiful, deadly ecosystem around them. Flowers bloomed peacefully while tiny predators stalked their prey just inches away. Birds sang while spiders calculated attack vectors. The whole scene looked calm and natural, but the students now knew they were looking at one of the most efficiently organized hunting grounds in the galaxy. The lesson was complete. The alien students had learned that Earth's smallest spiders were indeed deadly threats, not because they could harm large creatures, but because they represented something much more significant. They were proof that Earth itself was a planet where only the strong, the smart, and the perfectly adapted could survive. And humans had not just survived on this world, they had thrived.